Hello and welcome back to another video. I thought in this video I would do my, why can't I speak? So I thought in today's video I would do my October wrap up. I have a feeling that this is not going to go up until like near the end of November, but I want to film it anyway and I'm going to put it up anyway because same top, I want to practice just filming and editing and putting them up, because otherwise I keep putting it off and then I'm never going to do it, and then it's going to be like 2030 and I'll be like, why did I never do that? So I read a total of 9 books in October and I read all of them on my trusty Kindle, because this now is an extension of my arm, it is an extension of my body, my mind and my soul, and I love it so much. So I need my phone because I can never remember what I read in a month, even if I loved it, which says a lot about me as a person, I think. I am currently using, why is it not taking? I'm currently using the app Fable for tracking my reading. That is mainly because in our WhatsApp community, we have our book club, we use Fable, we have 2 book clubs currently on Fable, because some months we have 1 book and some months we have 2 books. So yeah, I've been using Fable, been really enjoying it actually. Find it easier to use than other platforms. First 2 books of October were book club books. First we had Hooked by Emily McIntyre. So Hooked is a dark romance retelling of Peter Pan, except your 2 main characters are Hook and Wendy. His dad is Peter Michaels, she is Wendy Michaels, and then she has a brother, John Michaels. So normally she has 2 brothers, John and Michael. They've used Michaels as the surname, which leads to a really cute plot point where Hook's nickname for Wendy is Darling, and I quite liked that aspect of it. So Wendy's father, Peter, is very absent, very busy with work. She doesn't really know what he does, just that he's very busy and that they have a lot of money. And then we have Hook, who is like second in command in, like, I guess you would call a gang, and he has a hatred for Peter for a past problem that they had with each other. So then he decides that he's basically going to ruin his daughter Wendy to get payback for what happened between them in the past. I settled on this book. I mean, I logged it on Fable as a 3.5. I do actually think that it's closer to a 3-star. Just, I haven't really thought about it since finishing it. It's a very inoffensive book in the sense of, like, there was nothing terrible about it, but there was also nothing amazing about it. I wouldn't like run through the hills screaming, being like, everyone has to read this book. While I was actively reading this book, I liked the writing style. It had me hooked from the get-go. I was interested to see where it was gonna go. I liked all the little like tidbits of the retelling, because it wasn't like a you know, it wasn't like overtly obvious that it was a retelling, but there was like little bits here and there. It basically could have just been any run-of-the-mill mafia book, but they had character names and things like that. There was like little glimpses within the story. But then I just felt like it got to a point where it got very predictable, and some of the things that the characters said, I was just a bit like, oh, I don't know. So I wouldn't like jump to recommend it, but also if that is something that you like, if you like a dark romance and you like retelling, you're gonna like this. Like, it's not a horrible book. Will I read the rest of the series? I don't know, but if they came up as a book club book again, I probably would. And then the second book that I read was our second book club book, and that was A Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which I feel like the world and his wife has seen this book. It's literally everywhere. I've had even people that I know in real life asking about this book. Like, I feel like it's just everywhere. It sort of started to come out, like, not come out. I started seeing glimpses of it last year. This sort of time last year, but I never picked it up, and then it just, as we came closer to like these winter months, it blew up and everyone was talking about it, so we voted it for our book club. I ended up rating it a 2 stars. It wasn't horrible, but just for me, there was more that I didn't enjoy and I couldn't get past than what I did enjoy. I'm just going to do a disclaimer here. I'm not very good at character names, so a lot of these books that I'm reviewing are going to be, you have your female main character and your main male character, because I'm terrible with names. So in the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, your female main character is a woman who lives like a very, you know, like go 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 city lifestyle. The work-life balance is not there, and her wife ends up handing her down ownership of her cafe, and after seeing her boss work himself to the grave, she decides that that's not what she wants out of life, so she decides to take over her aunt's cafe in this small town, slow down with life a little bit, smell the roses, but she's not sure if she can do this. Then you have your main male character who has always lived in this small town, and he is like the small town's eligible bachelor who has not so long ago been rejected by someone that wanted more than the small town life. My problem with this was immediately they warn her off of him. They're like, no, like if you're not going to say don't even go there, don't even go there. And I'm thinking, you've literally known her 5 minutes, like you don't know her, like that didn't sit right with me. And then there was never really any conversations where they were actually, they're 2 grown adults, where they're even like getting to know each other on any kind of level. They never go on a date. In that whole book, they never go on a date. And I just thought, it's just not for me. So again, unless the other books are book club books, I'm not in a rush. That was enough for me. Moving on. We then have Distance by Luna Mason. I started this one months ago because Tia and Em both love Luna Mason. So I said I'd give it a go. When I first started reading it, it just, I don't know, it just wasn't hitting for me. And then in October I decided to give it another chance. It is just like your typical like mafia romance. So your female main character has, like, I think been cheated on or broken up with her boyfriend, and her best friend is like, right, enough moping, we're going out on the town, we're going clubbing and you're going to have a good time. And he is like part of the mafia, and he boxes, and he's at the nightclub and he takes one look at her, and I think he has to like rescue her maybe from unwanted attention in the club. I can't really remember. For me, there is something about mafia books where they have to be written in a very particular way for me to believe them. And I actually now, thinking about it, think that for me, unless the main male character is explicitly older, and I mean like in his late 30s to 40s, it's just not believable to me that he's like this big bad mafia guy. I feel like a lot of these people are still written as like 20, 21-year-old guys, and it's not believable for me. So I think that might be where my problem is. So I did again rate that one a 3-star. I think I probably will try some more in the future, because sometimes you just get in the mood for like a good mafia book. But yeah, so that was that book. Next, we have the next 2 books in the Gods and Monsters series. So our first book, obviously, being the Book of Azrael. I read that in September. And then you have The Throne of Broken Gods and The Dawn of the Cursed Queen. Both of them were 5 stars for me. Obviously I can't talk too much about the plot because they're the second and third in a series, but honestly this series as a whole is standing up to be a 6-star series. If you want a main male character who is actually on all levels a simp for our female main character, but in the most gorgeous, delicious way, pick these books up. If you want to read about a morally grey character who will literally do whatever is needed to be done for the people that they love, but you want to read about that in a female main character, Diana is your person. Like, these books are your books. The world building is incredible. The subplots are incredible. The side characters are incredible. The found family is gorgeous and flushed out and has layers and depth, and it tears your heart out and puts it back in to tear it out again, to put it back in to make it grow 1,000 sizes. There is not enough words in the English language to express my love for Amber Nicole's books. Like, the fact that I have to wait until next year for the next book, I'm going to pull my hair out. I immediately finished the 3rd book and started making a Spotify playlist for the 2 main characters. That's how whipped I am by this story. Next, we have Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. I first saw this in a Sarah Caroli video, and now it's been popping up a lot, like on Book Talk. I feel like now is the season of romantasy, so we're going to see a lot of romantasy recommendations coming out. What drew me to this was that it's an interconnected standalone like series sort of thing. Like, this book, the plot was wrapped up for this book within this first book, and I just needed that because I've been heavy on a lot of fantasy series at the moment, and I just wanted something fantasy, but one book wrapped up, no cliffhangers. So this follows 2 sisters, and they are necromancers. What I've gathered from this story is that they have magic, and they use that to communicate and connect with the dead. So necromancers in that way. And in the very start of the story, their mum drops dead, and so our female main character, the oldest daughter, has to take over her mother's magic to carry on their like magical bloodline. But then she also undertakes all of the burdens that her mother has left her with. The biggest one being that the bank is coming to take the house because the mum owes so much money and hasn't been paying it back. What you also find out is that there are devils that like live amongst them, and they do this like trial game based thing called Phantasma, and it pops up like in different states in America, I think, maybe, or is it only in New Orleans? I can't remember. Maybe it's just in New Orleans where the book is set. I might be getting confused with the Night Circus. And anyway, whoever wins these deathly trials gets one wish granted by a devil with no strings attached. Whenever they want, they can have. So she then finds out that her younger sister has joined Phantasma to try and win to what she thinks is to wish for the house so that her sister doesn't lose it, essentially. So the older sister joins the game to try and find her younger sister, but then realises that she has to survive to a certain level before she can access her sister. She meets a phantom. They make a deal that he will help her survive for as long as possible. She will look for a way to free him because he is tied and bound to these games, and he can't remember why, and he doesn't know for how long. Oh my god, like, I was giggling, I was kicking my feet, I was stressed. I will admit I did see a bit of discourse about not really understanding when it was taking place and like the actual world building not making sense, but I feel like once they're in the games, you don't need the world building. So like, if you pick this up and you start thinking, oh, I'm a bit confused, like, just read enough that they're competing in the games and it will make sense. But I rated that at 5 stars. I loved it. I ate it up. I loved the characters. I loved the setting. I thought it was pretty perfect, to be fair. And then I read the Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I actually own this one physically, but I did read it on Kindle. This one is quite hard to explain and quite long-winded, but basically you are following our female main character who has been raised by her like magician illusionist father, but what the general public doesn't know is that they actually have got magic. And then our main male character is an orphan who's been brought up by this guy to also learn the same illusionist magic tricks, because they are both being raised and trained to take part in a challenge against each other to basically see which teacher is the best, essentially. But they're never told when it's going to start, how long it's going to be, and what they actually have to do. All they're ever told is when it starts you'll know and it will make sense. And then what you're trying to do is work out what that has to do with the Night Circus, which appears in different states throughout the world. Different cities throughout the world. This Night Circus just appears, and it only opens at night. So it says like the doors don't open until dusk, and the show doesn't end until dawn. Very heavy on the magical realism. There's like crumbs of romance sprinkled in. It's very much like reading it because you're like, what is going on? I need to find out. I rated this at 4 stars. I thought it was very good. It's a standalone, so everything is wrapped up in this book. If you like magical realism, if you want a break from like the very formulaic, romance-heavy fantasy, but you want to read something where you can escape, this is a good book. Then finally, in October, I read The Striker by Anna Huang. I wasn't anticipating this as much as a lot of my friends were. I have read the Twisted series by Anna Huang, but that's about it. I still haven't started on the King of Sins, or the, is it If We Were series? I'm not too sure. So I wasn't in like a massive rush, but then Tia accidentally ordered 4 copies of the same book. So I said to her, I'll buy one from you, because I'm going to be buying it anyway, save her having to like send it back. And it was on Kindle Unlimited, so I was like, well, I may as well just read it now, because the book's coming. So you have our main male character, Asher Donovan, who is a professional football player in the English Premier League. He, you find out that he was playing for his hometown team, the one team that he'd always played for. Like, I think it was sort of supposed to be like he came up through their academy and he was like their star boy. And then out of nowhere, without communicating to anyone, he takes a mid-season transfer to a rival London Premier League club. And he sort of doesn't understand why he's getting hate for it, which we will circle back to. And then our female main character is a ballerina, but she has to only teach ballet now because she suffered an injury, which means that she can't perform anything too hard or taxing on her body, sort of thing. So she just teaches. She's too scared to perform. The way that our characters meet is our female main character's brother, Vincent, is on the same football team now as Asher Donovan, but they have always, throughout their careers, been pitted against each other, so they're like rivals, they hate each other, and their football team's manager decides on the off-season to make them both train with her, doing ballet once a week every week for the off-season. After the first week though, Vincent's dad has an emergency, so he has to go off. So then you have our 2 main characters spending a lot of one-on-one time together. Brothers, rival, forbidden romance. I thought it was cute. It was easy to read. I ended up rating it a 3.75 stars. I liked Asher. I sometimes liked Scarlett, but there was a couple of things I didn't like about her. I liked their banter and their chemistry, and he was very much a I will do what I need to do for you kind of guy. I think a lot of my criticisms are probably the same as a lot of people that are from the UK and also enjoy football. I'm a big lover of sports romances because I love like the found family that comes from having a team within a sports romance. But outside of reading, the only sport that I actually have a massive interest in is English football. Like massively, like I can watch other sports, but like my big one is English football. Love it. And I feel like if you are someone like me that watches football and supports a team, and I'm not saying I know everything about football, but I have like a wide knowledge and I know enough about it that as I was reading it, it was just quite clear that she didn't have the connect, like she didn't get it. My thing is I'm reading it and he's all like, oh, boo-hoo, poor me, everyone hates me. But it was 6 months ago, they need to move on. My thing is mid-season you transferred to a rival team and didn't give an explanation to anyone. Like, even his own father doesn't understand why he's transferred from it. Like, he would go and watch them play week in, week out. That was the team that made him want to be a footballer. And then mid-season he's just going to leave and then wonder why people are like, you're a traitor, you're a snake. Because to me it makes sense. I'm not saying I condone any violence towards him or anything like that, but the backlash makes sense, so I don't know why you're pretending that it doesn't make sense. So then I found it quite hard to connect to the football world in that way. I do also think that advertising a football romance, and she put up a lot of posts while writing this book about wanting to connect with people that had an understanding of the Premier League and things like that. So to me it's a bit of a cop-out then to write it on the off-season, because it could have been any sport. That could have been hockey, that could have been golf, that could have been tennis. I'm interested to see if she now writes the next one during the season, because I think the second one is Vincent and then a girl who has gone to work for the football team as a nutritionist, and I feel like that has to be during the season, but we'll see. It wasn't awful, I recommend it, it was fun, banter, witty, very good, but it just wasn't my favourite. Again, if you have made it this far listening to me ramble about books, thank you, I really appreciate it. If you can, like the video, subscribe, all of that stuff. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next video.